we'll show you guys what they look like. So this is how they look like. There we go. So that's what they look like. The LED lights will turn off here in a second. They typically do. Yeah, so from the front, I mean, you gotta be like, it's pretty distracting if there's like, you know, the LED lights, so maybe a cop won't see it, but those are pretty bright actually. I mean, compared to the front, the amber ones, okay, yeah, there we go. Just don't mind me, just walk around talking to myself like an idiot. And also, this isn't the best, you know, like, nighttime camera. I'll have to bring my other one. So, and then I'll go way over here. Yeah, this is pretty bright. That look pretty good, actually. Those look great. But, alright, I'm gonna head out. We're gonna do so. We're gonna have my license plate tucked back up in that bitch.
Welcome to another video. Now, a while back I did a video install on these same exact LED blinkers and had a lot of great feedback, so I figured I'd make another video for you guys but go into even more detail because I had a lot of questions. Installation is super easy, and I'll explain everything from A to Z. So even if you don't know how to do anything electrical, I'll be able to help you out there. These are universal indicators and can be done on any bike. Plus they give a unique look. They don't come with any L-shaped brackets, or any brackets for that matter, and you're going to need a bracket so you can hook it up to your license plate. Depending on the fender eliminator kit you got, it may already have an L-shaped bracket with it, just double check that. They have a great contour shape, and it gives an aggressive look as well, and they do serve a good purpose. They're bright during the day and plenty bright at night. They also have that cool blue LED light that illuminates on the back side, which, you know, it's kind of nice because if, you know, someone's in your blind spot, they'll be able to see that a little more easily than just a regular amber light. Is it legal? Okay, there's definitely a gray line there, so check with your state. Utah, in this case, does not allow for front illuminating blue or red lights. Other than that, the law is pretty vague, and it may just depend on the cop that pulls you over. Hopefully he's not having a bad day. So, as long as you don't have it in the front of your vehicle, you should be okay. So, down in the description box, in case you don't know what your state allows, I'm going to link a website that lists every state and specific laws that may or may not allow it for motorcycle specifics. I've also been told that if there are lights pointing either directly to the ground or internally, it should be legal, but I would still double check. In the end, I really wouldn't worry too much about it, and cops will just have to be like looking something, you know, to bug you about. And they gotta be really bored to pull you over about that. But if you're really worried about it, and like let's say there's a cop next to you, just use your hand for signaling. The build quality is just fine, and you know, I wouldn't really worry too much about these like shorting out or simply breaking for no reason, but also don't crash and then expect these to still be there. They're freaking blinkers. So connection is uber simplistic, but if you have any questions at all, just message me either on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Send me pictures of what you're having problems with. You can even send me a picture of, you know, if you're confused with how the wiring is, and really anything. It doesn't even have to be with this video. If you have questions about anything, you guys are always more than welcome to message me. I typically don't get like that many messages, so, you know, I'm always looking forward to, you know, private messages, so hit me up there. So you have 3 colored wires. You have a black, a red, and a blue. And in case you don't know anything about electronics or wiring, you always do the same color to the same color. So positive to positive, negative to negative, black to black, red to red. In this case, the red wire and the blue wire are going to serve as your positive. So you're going to wire those together in the same connection. So let me show you what I mean. So there are 2 ways that you could actually hook this up. You could either clip it together or solder it. I chose to solder it because it's practically guaranteed and it's waterproof. It also looks pretty much stock, and it's really easy to tuck away, and there's not big bulky connections in the way. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your stock wiring harness and the LED blinker. You're going to chop off all the ends. So you have 5 wires. You're going to end with 5 tips that you need to chop off. Then about ½ an inch down from where you cut, through that line, what you're going to do is you're going to cut halfway and you're going to feel you're going to hit the wire. Once you do that, go around the wire and then pull it off. And what that's going to do is it's going to expose the actual copper wire that's behind the piping. You could either do this with scissors, pliers, or even a knife for that matter, but they do make electronic pliers that you can actually wire specific to specific sizes. That makes it super easy. I somehow lost mine, so I just had to use scissors, which does just fine. Make sure that you clean your hands as well, because if they're greasy or have any kind of oil on them, the solder is not going to want to stick to the exposed wires, and it'll just like fall right off. So then once you have all these chopped off ends and you have all these wires exposed, what you're going to want to do is, remember, you have to have clean hands, and you're going to twist the ends of the wires.
This is your ground, this is your positive, and then this is also a positive for the blue. If you don't want this, then you just can cap it off with some shrink wrap.
It's going to be able to take your blue and also your red wire, and you can be able to wire those together more easily, as well as it won't separate all the fibers out of the wire, if that makes any sense at all. I don't really know on that one. So then what you're going to want to do is get your station set up, have your heat shrink ready, and put that on all the wires before you forget, because for whatever reason, whenever I do wires, I always forget to put the heat shrink on until after I'm done soldering. Super annoying. So don't forget to do that. All these materials are really cheap to get. You can get them at Harbor Freight or Amazon, really wherever you'd like. The solder iron was less than $15. All of the heat shrink was less than $8. The soldering itself was less than $7. It's really cheap to do all this kind of wiring. So what you're gonna notice here is, I have a red and a blue on my stock wiring harness. So typically a red is always positive, and if there's only 2 wires, that means that your other one is a ground. So in this case, you're gonna wire your stock blue wire to your ground. And again, you can always message me on Instagram, Twitter, or whatever if you do have any more questions. You can also look up online, and what you can find is like a wiring chart, basically, a coloring wiring chart, and that's just going to give you more details. It really does depend on the bike and the brand as well. It could be Italian or Japan. You can look at those coloring diagrams. You'll see typically that this color is a positive and that color is a negative, so you could also do that as well. Prior to starting, I would just have your soldering iron heating up to temperature. That way it's ready to go once you have it all together. Place the wires in a spot that can hold its place. That way you can be hands-free while soldering. You don't have to hold the wires and the soldering iron and the actual solder. Soldering is like cement, and so what you're going to want to do is place it onto the soldering iron, and what that's going to do is melt it. Once it melts, it'll immediately cool down to a lower temperature, and then that will stick to the wires. Make sure you cover the wires from end to end, that way it establishes a solid connection. And then once you're done with that, make sure you cool it off. Do not touch it, trust me, it freaking hurts. That soldering iron can actually range from 350 degrees all the way up to 700 degrees, just depending on which kind you got. And so once it's done cooling off, which takes less than a minute, slide the heat shrink over the section you just connected. And after it's placed in a good spot, take the heat gun or hair dryer, whatever you have to heat it up, and just let it shrink, and it'll create a nice seal. So what you're going to want to do is do the same for all wires, left and right. It actually doesn't matter, so don't think you have to do one side to the left side and then the other blinker for the right side. It doesn't matter, because in the end what matters is where you place them.
And you don't know which one. It's gonna go, the darker blue is gonna be your ground. So you're gonna twist those together. And then your positives are gonna go to the lighter color, which is the lighter blue.
Depending on the brackets you've got, you also may have to feed the wires in as well as the nut prior to even soldering or connecting any of the wires. So make sure you keep that in mind, because there's nothing worse than getting all your connections together and realizing you have to cut them all up and fit them through something that you had to do before.
I'm gonna show my finger. So now I've got the brackets on it. Brackets are on both sides. And then once you're done, you can go ahead and disconnect it and feed it up through there. And if you're wondering what this bandage is I was cutting with the Dremel, one of these metal ones, and the Dremel got caught onto it and it slipped my finger and it cut right through this glove. Right there. Yeah, it hurt. I should have got stitches, but it's in a spot that bends a lot, so I'm just gonna leave it. All right, it is all done. So it's nice and flush. I threw in some brass. I don't want to get the steel ones because I wanted to match the gold, you know what I'm saying? I zip all that together, and that's the finished product. So I'll go ahead and show you guys what it looks like. So you can see, and it's daylight, right? So, gives you an idea. Still has like an aggressive look to it. Well, thank you guys for watching. If you did like the video, you're more than welcome to hit that like button. Also, if you want to look to buy these specific blinkers, I do have a link in the description. You're more than welcome to check that out as well. Hope you guys have a good one. Safe riding. Deuces.